everyone. Welcome to another episode of It's Crystal Clear, a show designed to tell your money where to go instead of always wondering where your money went. My name is Felicia Young, and I am so thankful that you are allowing me to help you along this journey towards being financially healthy. Okay, y'all, so you've just finished your first 3-month goal mark. Did you check off the goals that you said that you were going to accomplish? If not, you need to find out, are those goals still even important to you? If they are, all I want you to do is to adjust your list. Get out your journal and write the vision. What do you want to accomplish in the next 3 months? So it can be one thing, it can be 3 things, or it can be a list of things. But they must be so realistic that you know you can do it. I do not want any of you to get overwhelmed because you chose to list things that just weren't reasonable to achieve within a 3-month time period. I want you all's list to be a SMART list. What specifically do you want to have done within the next 3 months? Once you list that, what do you need to do in order to reach those specific goals? I need y'all to write step by step by step what it would take to reach those goals. This is going to become your things to do checklist to keep you on track. And I do not want you to get discouraged. Just take one step at a time. I promise, just trust me, you're going to reach your goals. So this week's episode is called What's in Store. I got permission to share this person's story with you. She wants her story to be told so that those who are in a similar situation can, 1, not be embarrassed by where they find themselves financially, and 2, for them to be able to ask for help from people who can provide wise counsel to help you get unstuck. Okay, so oftentimes I have private sessions to coach families who have various types of financial issues. I have some people who have low credit scores, they have negative balances in their bank accounts, some of them are behind on their bills, and they just don't know how to break free of this cycle. I have other families. They make good money, they have bills, and they pay their bills on time. Their thing is they just have a lot of bills, just a lot of credit card debt. They have a variety of loans. They find themselves, as soon as they get paid, their money quickly head towards the bill collectors. They are just simply tired of going to work day after day after day. And at the end of each pay period, they don't have anything to show for it. The only thing they have to show is a paid in full invoice. They're not traveling. They're not having date nights. They're not able to go on shopping sprees. All they're doing is paying off bills. They're doing it on time and every time, but they're tired of it. Then I have families who feel like they've reached rock bottom. No matter how hard they try, they simply can't get out of their rut. They got mounting bills, their credit is shot, the demand for payment letters are piling up right alongside their stress level. No matter how hard they try, life just keeps on lifing, and life just keeps on knocking them down. So this is where we find my client. So a few years ago, she was going through big time, y'all. She's a single mother of 4 children. The children are in middle school and elementary school. She lived in an apartment and she had a car that she only owed 3 more years payments on. She had a decent job. She got paid hourly for. She had no health insurance. She qualified for sick leave and vacation time, but not a lot of it. So in the middle of one year, she got really sick, but she has no health insurance. So she tried to self-diagnose herself at first, and she used over-the-counter medication to see if that would make her feel better. She was not getting better. She really did need to get to a doctor. So she used her credit cards to pay for her doctor's visits, and she used her credit cards to pay for her lab work, and she used her credit cards to pay for her prescriptions. The lab results showed that she had an illness that required more treatments and more time off to recover. She ran out of paid sick time. She ran out of paid vacation time. Her credit card was maxed to the limit, and her savings account started to dwindle. The money that she should have used to pay her rent, it had to be used to get her healthy again. The money that she had that would have been used to pay her car note, she had to use that just to keep herself alive. Can y'all imagine the stress from all of that? It was just too much to bear for her. So she ended up having to go back to work, even though she wasn't completely well. So by the time she got her next check, she was too far behind on her expenses to get caught up. By the time I met her, she had gotten evicted from her apartment, her car had gotten repoed, and she had to move herself and her kids into a cheap hotel. To get the kids to school and herself to work, they relied on Uber and taxis. She didn't tell her family, she didn't tell her friends what were going on because she was so embarrassed. Her thoughts were if she stayed at the hotel and she used Uber for a while, she could eventually save up enough money to move into another apartment and she can save up enough money to buy herself another car. But she wasn't able to save up the money, no matter how hard she tried, and she simply just couldn't understand why. So when we met, I had her do like I had each of you do. I had her get something to write with, and I needed her to get something to write on. I had her list all of her income, and I had her list all of her expenses, including the maxed out credit card and the other things that she had going on. So her income fluctuated because she was hourly and she still had to take off her doctor's appointment, and she used up all of her sick time and all of her vacation time. So her expenses included the weekly hotel that when you added up the weeks, that was more than what her rent was. Then her daily Uber ride to drop her kids to middle school and elementary school, then to her job twice a day, 5 days a week. They had to eat a lot of fast food because of the limited space and the lack of appliances in the hotel room. She had a post office box to get her mail, and she had a storage unit that she kept everything that she owned in. She had a maxed out credit card that had mounting interest and late fees. So we researched apartments that would fit her needs, but the apartments ran credit checks. Her scores were low because the previous complex, they reported that eviction. The card company reported that repo. The credit card company reported the late pays and the no pays. So in my opinion, she needed to do something drastic in order to climb her way out of this hole. So I asked her what all did she have in that storage unit. So she made time to tell me that she had an antique table with chairs, she had sofa, bedroom sets, dressers, a curio set with figurines, fine china and silverware that was given to her as a wedding gift many years ago. She had her clothes, the kids' clothes, shoes, name brand purses that she accumulated over the years. She had TVs and she had the kids' toys. So I told her that she needed to sell those items, those things that would generate the money that she needed to rent another apartment that didn't rely heavily on credit scores. But more than likely, they will require a first and last month's rent as a security deposit. Selling those things would generate money to pay off the credit card. Selling those things would generate money to buy either a cash car or a car with a small note from a dealership that specialized in second chance financing. Okay, the likelihood of the interest rate being high on that type of financing was definitely a reality. I know that. But remember from the 2-year credit episode, because of her late pays, her no pays, her eviction, and the repo, her credit report is showing her to be someone who does not pay their bills. So it doesn't matter that it was because of an extreme circumstance like an illness. On paper, she looks like a high risk, and she would have to pay the price for that temporarily. But I had a plan to make sure that that was just a temporary solution while we worked on rebuilding her financial health. So once I gave her the plan, I looked at her with pride because that was a great plan. It was realistic and it was doable. So I was ready for her to say, let's get started. Let's do it now. Y'all, she just stared at me and she said there was no way that she was selling her stuff. She said that was her stuff. She worked hard to buy that stuff and she was not getting rid of it. Some of those things, they were gifts from people she loved. Some of those things were too valuable to get rid of. She said the kids needed their clothes. She said she needed those shoes. She said she found that furniture on sale and there was no way she would ever find a deal like that again. Y'all, this is just a side note. For those of y'all who know me when I'm in coach mode, you know that I do not play. I don't go to anyone saying, hey, let me help you fix your life. No, people come to me because they need help to find logical solutions to their challenges. Y'all, my time is very valuable, and I know yours is too. So if I make time to give you a logical solutions, I really do expect you to have an open mind and be prepared to receive what I have to say. My goal is to make sure you live your best life within budget. And sometimes that means I need you to take extreme measures to make sure it happens. All right, so back to the story. So she took my time to tell me her dilemma. We took time to review her finances. I made time to offer a logical solution, and she says no. I asked her what sense does it make to pay money month after month, 4 months, to make sure that your stuff had a place to live and you didn't. That doesn't make any sense. What sense does it make to pay a hotel bill week after week that costs more than her rent? What sense does it make to pay an Uber driver day after day, twice a day? That ended up being the price of a car note, y'all, or more every single month. What's in her storage unit, what she had stored, it was the solution to her problems, and she needed to see the logic behind the sale. Okay, so she had quite a few designer purses. She had the Louis, she had the Brahmin, she had Dooney & Burke, she had Prada, but no money inside of any of them. I looked up the resale value of each and I wrote those numbers down. She had designer clothes for her. She had designer clothes for her children. Y'all, her children wore uniforms every day to school, and she wore uniforms to work. There was no need right now for anything designer, especially to be in storage that they weren't wearing anywhere anyway, because they had to pay an Uber to get there. They just simply couldn't afford it. So I looked up the potential resale value of those clothes. I wrote those numbers down. So then I wrote down the possible resale value of the shoes. They only have one pair of feet, so the rest of those shoes could go. I looked up the possible resale value of the furniture and the resale value of the TVs. And yes, she bought them on sale. But y'all, I keep telling you, there will always be a sale. She could have replaced them at any time later when she could afford it. By the time I finished doing possible income from selling her stuff that she had in storage and included the savings from getting rid of the storage unit and getting rid of that hotel bill, on paper, she really did have enough money to start her life completely over. She could really afford to get a nice apartment. She can afford to get a second chance finance car, some inexpensive furniture. She could have paid off that credit card and be able to put some money into an interest-bearing savings account. Y'all, I was proud of myself for making those numbers work. Those numbers worked. So I showed her the written scenario. It made all the sense in the world. She looked at me again, dead in my face, and she said, I am not selling my stuff. So I closed my notebook. I put my good ink pen in my designer purse, and I walked right up out of that hotel room. I did not say one more word to her. So, a few months later, I get a phone call from a number I didn't know. A voice message was left. Hey, Miss Felicia, this is such and such. Can I schedule another appointment with you? Okay, so about to have another side note. I'm a Gemini. I'm a true Gemini. So depending on the situation, you're going to really understand that sometimes I'm really nice. Sometimes I'm accommodating. I'm helpful. I'm the loving Felicia. Or you're going to get to meet the other Felicia, the other one. So when I heard her voice on my phone, the other Felicia gave a side eye because she was not in the mood to have her time wasted again. So before I could make up my mind to ignore the message, she called again and she left another message. Miss Felicia, I really do apologize for wasting your time the last time, but I need your help. Can you please call me? Y'all, the nice Felicia called her back. I called her back. When I did, she was crying so uncontrollably. When she finally calmed down, she said that she had gotten sick again and she missed several days of work again. She said her check was short again, and that caused her to have to make some very tough choices. She needed to figure out what she could afford to do. She had to pay the hotel bill. She needed the Uber to get the kids to school. They needed food. She needed her cell phone bill and that storage unit, but she knew she couldn't afford to pay them all. So her cell phone bill, it got cut off. So she had been calling me from the hotel phone. That storage unit locked her out for non-payment, and all of her stuff was auctioned away. Everything. She felt like she hit rock bottom, and she wanted help to figure out what to do next. I just asked her, where is your family? Where are your friends? And did they know what was going on? So she said she had plenty of family, but she didn't dare share her struggles with them. She didn't dare share with anyone. She said she didn't want to be judged. She stopped talking to her family when she got evicted, and she stopped talking to her friends once her car got repoed. She just didn't want to be judged. She didn't feel like being embarrassed. So she simply isolated herself and her kids so she wouldn't have to deal with all of that extra. I asked her to trust me. I told her to call her parents. Reluctantly, she did, and you can hear the excitement on the other end of the phone from them. They heard their daughter's voice. They were just like, oh my God, it's you. So she started crying so hard that she couldn't tell them what was going on. So I took the phone and I shared with them what was going on, and I asked if I could bring her to their home so we could all just talk and discuss solutions. Y'all, when we got to her parents' house, it felt like the prodigal son had returned home. They ran out of their door so fast, and they grabbed her and hugged her, and they were all just crying. So we went inside to talk. Her parents said that she was just always so prideful, that she never wanted to ask for help. She never wanted to be a burden to anyone. She said anytime they talked to her on the phone, she made it seem like her life was great. Everything was just grand. Like she had no problems. She never had any issues. Like she never had any challenges. And they took her for her words. What else could they do? Her pride kept her from being cared for by her family, who clearly was open to doing whatever they could to make sure she was okay. Her dad said he wanted her and those kids to move back to their home immediately. Their home was big enough for all of them to live in comfortably. They had an extra car for her to use to get back and forth to work. The kids, they would be able to catch the school bus at the grandparents' house every single day. Her mom wanted her to quit her job now. She said that her daughter needed to work somewhere that had health insurance and also had a retirement plan and also had other incentives. So in order to qualify for the career that she really wanted, she needed to go back to school and she needed to get certified. So her parents said they would pay for her to go back to school. No repayment needed. The solutions to her problems were all at home all this time. She just needed to put her pride down and ask for help. Once she did that, all kinds of opportunities fell inside of her lap. She got certified in the career that she always wanted. Y'all, her pay tripled, and she was able to save money by living with her parents and having no car note. She was allowed to use her money to pay off her medical bills and all the credit cards, and she was even allowed to save for her ultimate goal, a home for her and her children. At the end of last year, she purchased her first house. That was a few doors from her parents. She now manages her money very well. She definitely lives by the 10, 10, and 80 rule. She has investment accounts. She controls her latte factor. She budgets well for her needs and for her wants. She said she did treat herself to a couple of designer purses as a treat to herself for a job well done. And she told me not to roll my eyes at her because she budgeted for it and she saved for it and she wanted to buy them. Her life is so unrecognizable now from where she was a few years before. When we talked recently, she said she hates that it took so long to accept that help and to make time to develop a realistic game plan to make her life better than it was before. She said her lesson came from that storage unit. She was holding on to things that served no use being stored away, not utilizing what she had stored away inside to make her life better. And because of her pride and because of her stubbornness, she and her kids missed out on great opportunities like isolating themselves from their family, who was more than willing to offer her help. So while she was talking, I thought about each one of you. I thought about what you have stored inside. What you have stored inside that you aren't making use of to make a better life for yourself. We were created to do three things. We need to fulfill the great commandment, which is to love God, love yourself, and to love others. Be honest. Are you making time to fulfill that commandment if you're so busy working 3 and 4 and 5 jobs just to pay bills that you're still behind on? You were created to fulfill the Great Commission, which is to tell everyone within the sound of your voice about everything great about God. In Matthew 28:19 and 20, it says that we are to go and make disciples and to teach them to obey everything that I commanded you. So how can you go, make, and teach if you are stressed and struggling behind a maxed out credit card bill? You were created to fulfill the great calling. There are many intimate connections that had to happen since the creation of earth in order for you to be here today. At this time, right now, it was no accident that God chose you to be here today. You were created for a purpose, for a specific purpose. You were called to fulfill specific assignments on this earth for God's glory. What is your calling? Many of you don't even know because you haven't made time to just be still. You haven't made time to simply find out. You're overworked. You're overwhelmed. You're walking around like an octopus with your hands in too many different things simply to survive. Y'all, that's not what you were called here to do. God stored things inside of you to fulfill his 3 C's. But you're not going to be able to do his job because you're so focused on other jobs that's not helping you get where you're destined to be. So I want you to thank God for the job that you have now. So however, is where you are now getting you to where you need to be. Now, I don't want y'all to go turn in your 2-week notice. I don't want y'all saying, Felicia said quit. Y'all don't do that to me. Do not do that to me. What I am saying is you've made time, so much time over the past several months to 1, reduce your latte factory. You worked hard to begin to live with the 10, 10, and 80 rule. You are making time to write down your budget every single week and you're doing your best to stick to it, but you're still struggling. I need you all to just stop and I need you to ask yourself, why is that? Is it because you have not answered your calling? Do you need another job? Do you need to go back to school and earn a degree? Or do you need to get a certificate that would get you a higher paying job? Or do you need to simply just start your own business and get paid off your amazing talents? What are you called to do? What did God store in you that will not only glorify him, but also pay you big time? So, for those of you who know me, you know that I love butterflies, particularly blue ones. And for years and years, I said I love butterflies because to me, they represent the journey. The caterpillar, he's trying not to get squashed before he gets stored in a cocoon for a particular period of time to emerge into a beautiful blue butterfly. But as I watch butterflies, one thing dawned on me. Yes, the caterpillar goes about his day trying not to get squashed, and then it gets stored in a cocoon for a particular period of time, only to emerge into a beautiful butterfly. Yes, that is true. But what dawned on me recently, one day while I was watching one fly around me, was that every single thing that the butterfly needed to emerge, everything it needed to be who it was destined to be, was already stored inside of the caterpillar. The wings, the antenna, its ability to fly, everything it needed was already stored inside. And to me, that represents the same with you. Everything you need to be who God called you to be is already stored inside of you. But you have to make adjustments, whether it's minor adjustments like a latte factor or something extreme like selling everything you own of value to stop drowning in debt. No matter what the case is, you have to adjust. And you have to remember, you do have people who are around you who want to see you win. They want to see you live the 3 C's. So it is okay to ask for help, y'all. That's what we're all here for. So my question to you is, what's in store for you? I feel deep in my heart that it's such an incredible life that's in store for you that once you start to experience it, you'll do everything you can to experience it over and over and over again. But it's up to you to make that decision. It's up to you to want to have that experience. Don't let the process overwhelm y'all. I want you to take one step at a time. Celebrate the small victories. Recalibrate if you missed the mark. And eventually, you will get to where you are called to go. I look forward to seeing that day when what's in store for each of you come to pass. I'm sure that it's going to be very remarkable because you are. So that's the end of today's episode. And I pray that today's story blessed you. And I pray that what's stored inside of you is going to build a life that God created for you. Remember, I am trying to reach a goal of helping people eliminate $25 million of debt this year. And I know I'm going to do it because you are helping me by participating in this podcast and by sharing this podcast. I definitely appreciate each of you. Remember, it's crystal clear. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple, and it's on YouTube. So I need y'all to share. Before I leave, I want to send a special shout out to my behind the scenes team. I want to say thank you, Mike. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Landon. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate you all for motivating me to keep on going. So until next time, I need y'all to dream big. I need y'all to stay focused. And I want you to live your best life within budget. I'll see you next time on It's Crystal Clear.